Hello and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're making funnel cakes. Alright, so in a medium bowl you're going to need to add 1/4 cup of milk, a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon of water, 1 egg, which you need to break up the yolk before you pour it in. Once all of that is in your bowl, you want to mix it up completely before you add any dry ingredients. Make sure that you break up the egg all the way through so that way it mixes in with the milk. Okay, once you're done with that, you're going to want to add 1 tablespoon of granulated sugar, 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. You're going to add a pinch of salt, once you've gotten this mixed up very well, because you want to actually get in there and make sure all of the dry ingredients are mixing through, because you don't want any of this to stay clumped, then you're going to add a half a cup of all-purpose flour. And make sure that you get this completely mixed through, because you want this to be a really good batter by the time you're done. And it might take a minute to mix through because, this is a lot of dry going into the wet. So scrape the sides of your bowl and make sure everything is ready. Just a reminder, before you go to use this, you're going to need something that you can put the batter into to squeeze it into your pan. So you're going to need a skillet or large pan, which you're going to add at least an inch of oil into, bring it up to 375 degrees, and you can test to see if it's ready by actually putting like a wooden stick and like a chopstick or whatever. If it sizzles or makes a little foamy thing around it, then you're ready to go. As for pouring this in, I actually used something that was meant for putting ketchup or mustard into and just snip the end off so that way I could squeeze it out, because I did not have a funnel to pour it from. This worked perfectly fine. Make sure when you put this into your oil, you're going back and forth across to make a zigzag pattern to where it all glues together. If you see large holes, go ahead and add some more to it. Your whole goal on this is to let it cook for at least 2 minutes on each side, or until it gets brown. The whole thing, you don't want it brown, but you want to make it go tannish, to have some color like it's been cooked. And sometimes it doesn't happen in 2 minutes. You're going to have to, watch and see how it goes through. But you can check it and you can flip it once it's ready. One of the reasons I came up with this whole idea of making this is because, if you've ever been to an event or a carnival and you wanted a funnel cake, they cost a fortune. The last time I went somewhere, someone was charging $12, $13 for one of these things, which it really doesn't even cost but $1 or something to make. And most of the ingredients you probably already had in your house anyway. So we're going to get around having to pay a fortune for something that people are milking you on. So, as you can see, mine is sizzling in the pan. It's doing quite well. And once you get to a certain point where you think it's really getting solid, you're going to want to start like peeking underneath to see how the bottom is doing. You could easily just stick something underneath, lift it up a little bit, see if it's turning colors, but just kind of watch your time. You don't want it to go totally hard and burnt on the bottom. I prefer to keep mine on the lighter side but cooked, so that way it's a little easier to eat and not crunchy. So I had a pair of tongs for this. You probably could do it with a fork or other things. If you had 2 forks, you could hold onto it and flip over. But just get a hold of it. It's not going to break so easily. And flip it. And there's the other side. And as you can see, it's cooked very well. So once it's flipped, again, another 2 minutes or so until you think it's set up properly. So on the mix that I put together, I ended up making at least 4 of these that were like medium-sized funnel cakes. There was some batter left over, which I could easily have made more or made these bigger. So if you're making this for about like 4 people or so, you're probably really good at this point. for the mixture that I put together. So when you get one of these done, I would suggest putting it onto like a paper plate with like a paper towel underneath of it to absorb any oil, so that way you don't have oily mess to deal with later. And just keep doing them, and if you have to keep them warm, just once you get the oil off, stack them, and the heat from each one will keep them together and keep them hot until you're done with all of them, because it does take about 5 or so minutes each one of these to make. Mind you, they don't have to be hot. I mean, just regular room temperature tastes great. When you get done, you put the toppings on. Now, one thing about topping this, most people put powdered sugar on. I gave 3 options. I did one with powdered sugar, I did one which I put on strawberries, some strawberry jam, and some whipped cream, and then one that I did like a chocolate syrup with whipped cream. And the best thing about it is, you give options, people can eat whichever version they want. But the cool thing about it is when you're done, you have all these really great tasting funnel cakes that you only paid a few dollars to make, compared to if you went to a carnival and you had to pay $13 for one. So as you can see, I'm assembling the strawberry one now, and it is really a great taste with the strawberries. I love that one. But your traditional funnel cake with the powdered sugar, you can't go wrong. And just as an added change, we did drizzle one of these with chocolate syrup, which was just an amazing taste. But it's all in what you want to eat. And now that you have this recipe, you can make these anytime you want to at home. And it tastes just as good as what you would get if you had gone to a carnival. So there you have the one with the strawberries. As far as the one with the chocolate syrup, drizzle as much as you want. You don't need a lot to make the flavor. You just need to make sure that you've swirled it around the whole thing. And again, the whipped cream in the middle. And then on the last one, it's just put some powdered sugar and something you can shake to make sure you don't get clumps, and shake it around. And here you have it, funnel cakes at home. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you soon.